Welcome to A Chat with Heart. I'm your host, Christina Martin. I'm a singer-songwriter. I live on a dirt road with my best friend Dale in rural Nova Scotia, Canada. A Chat with Heart is just me having chill conversations with people I want to celebrate and topics that I'm curious about. If you have a question or a comment for this podcast, call my Heartbeat hotline, 1-902-669-4769. To send this podcast even more love, visit me online at patreon.com/Christina Martin. I'm so happy you're listening. Our personal stories have great power to heal, influence, and inspire. All we have to do is show up for the conversation. If we just talk about it, we could shine a light, we could break a dark day. If we just talk about it, we can cut away, we can make a brighter day. I fucked up again. Poor Dale, our engineer, my husband, my best friend. So when I say I fucked up, I want you to know that the fact that during this episode later on, my microphone doesn't sound as good as it sounds like right now. This is not Dale's fault. It's my fault. I spent so much time testing the audio with Dale, and we had it just in the best state finally. And I spent all this time preparing for this episode, making sure I had my checklist, my audio checklist. And despite all that, whatever happened, I neglected, even in my tech check with my wonderful guest, who did a great job, and his audio sounds great. I had the wrong mic selected. So even though I was speaking into this really great mic that I use, thinking it was connected, it was not. And you guys probably don't care. And I told that to Dale. Most of my listeners won't care. It sounds fine, but I know, and Dale knows, and I broke Dale's heart a little bit because, again, it's like we had talked about this numerous times. I made this mistake a couple episodes ago, and then I do it again. I'm going to get over it. I'm over it now. I'm over it, but I just wanted to let you know we do have some audio fiends some wonderful little Heartbeat listeners who care about that stuff. I'm not going to name any names, Jason McIsaac, but most of you will not give two shits, and you're just having a good time here. And some of you may use this podcast as a way to put you to sleep at night, and I'm happy I can bring some peace and calm. And others are listening on their drive to or fro work. I like to listen to podcasts on my drive to the big city of Halifax, Nova Scotia, from Cumberland County. That's when I get my phone calls, as my friends know, and catch up on podcast listening. So wherever you're listening from in the world, I thank you for being my little Heartbeat listener. And don't forget, I don't have my phone with me, but there is a Heartbeat hotline you can call and leave a message and ask a question. Any question or leave a comment. You can rate and review this podcast. Those are fun. I should check those ratings out and read them in a future season. You can also email me, ChristinaMartinMusic@gmail.com, if you have a question or a comment, and it may make its way into a future episode. I just want to say thanks. Thanks for listening. And listen, a little update before we get to our incredible guest today. I feel really good. I feel strong. I've been carving out time for myself, but mostly all of my energy, apart from just, looking after my health and stuff, has been set on this September 6th event in Halifax at Alderney Landing Theatre, and the upcoming shows in New Brunswick, in Fredericton, St. John, and Moncton. Those are in October with band and string quartet. I've been planning so much for these shows, like for such a long time, literally years, but most of the details have been happening in the last 6 to 8 months, that so much is behind me of that work. And I'm now, and I like to do this, I like to get to the point where the shows are happening, I can enjoy the 2 weeks, the final rehearsals, the production, and really focus on just singing and being with the musicians and creating this experience for everybody. So I think this episode will air before September 6th, but know that I'm doing great. I feel strong, rested, and we're ready. We're ready, and I can't wait. We're filming the September 6th event, recording it. So if you're following me on my Patreon as a free or a paid member, that's where you're going to get updates. That's where my free newsletter is as well. You'll get some behind the scenes stuff there. You'll be the first, if you're a paid member, to see the results of this recorded, filmed event. I'm so pumped about. And one more thing I do have to say, Dale and I just decided this episode, the season 3 finale of A Chat with Heart podcast. I'm going to pause production so I can carve out time to write more songs and just experiment and have fun with it, because I have not had time to do that since the album came out. I'm going to make some more plans for performing, dreaming, and scheming, and it's all by design. I'm so excited to be here at this point where I can do all of this now. Another transition shift. What's to come, I don't know. I mean, I have some ideas, but I'm really excited. Okay, my guest today, I could not have asked for a better season 3 finale guest. He is a world-class get, as we like to say in the entertainment world. I'm a huge fan. James Mullinger, originally one of the UK's hardest working comedians and comedy editor for GQ magazine. That's right. Moved to New Brunswick, province I grew up in 2014, and has since become a sensation across our country. He's known for his sold-out shows, appearances on CBC's The Debaters, movies, TV shows, and festivals. James has literally done it all. He was recently named one of the most inspiring immigrants in Atlantic Canada and released a national best-selling memoir called Brit Happens. Folks, if you haven't read the book, it's really wonderful, and I really loved getting to know James more by reading this book. Mullinger also stars in New Brunswick's first national sitcom, and he's raised over $150,000 for Canadian charities. He's co-founded and launched his own international magazine with his wife, Pamela. It's called The Maritime Edit. I am a recent subscriber to the print magazine. I'm so excited. And Mom, your subscription is on the way too. I don't even know if my mom listens to this, to be honest. But yeah, she'll be excited when she gets the magazine. So one more thing about James's book, because it's no easy feat, and I just want to mention it topped the Amazon comedy book charts. It was the Montreal Times Book of the Year, and it won the Best Nonfiction Book Award at the New Brunswick Book Awards. Did I also mention National Bestseller? It's just so much. There's so much more. Check out his website, JamesMullinger.com. Wait, let me confirm that that's actually it before I lead you astray. Yeah, that's it. It's JamesMullinger.com. Check that website out for all things James Mullinger. We have a great chat. We chat about following your dreams, even though, you know what? Sorry to spoil it, but it's not going to be easy. And what about the benchmark for success? Why is it ridiculously high sometimes? And And we talk about how, it's important to set your own bar for success. What does that look like? Maybe that bar is just like, it's just feels like a little out of reach, but really within reach. You know what I mean? And you keep you keep upping it every time you reach that bar. But it doesn't need to be like in outer space. We chat with heart about so much more. Love is in the details, and so is the devil. Some people say God. But this all just points to a celebration of discipline, and that I believe my guest today has. You have to become a success, and whatever that bar is for you. I am still pinching myself for getting to sit down and chat with James, and I'm kicking myself for not having my fucking microphone set up correctly. But anyway, thank you, Dale Murray, for making this episode sound the best it can be, and all the episodes of season 1, 2, and 3 of A Chat with Heart podcast. Enjoy. This is fucking awesome. Okay, so quick story about we were on a cruise years ago. We're flipping through the cruise ship, destinations to, give you options for booking in the future. And so they have Atlantic Canada options to go to, Quebec City and Halifax and wherever the fuck else those cruises go. And then they have Sydney, Cape Breton, and I shit you not, there's a picture of the Sydney Opera House.
Oh my God.
I thought, wow, some folks are going to be super fucking disappointed.
Yes. I mean, that's insane, because I have that joke about the St. John thing, and I just discovered that Sydney, I mean, I'm sure it's not a full-time desk, but in the joke, there's a full-time desk at Sydney Nova Scotia Airport to greet those people who've just basically had their entire retirement ruined, spent their whole life saving up for this dream holiday. They come out and they're like, well, where's Bondi Beach? And they're like, we've got a fucking fiddle over there. Yeah. And I love all those things. My favorite one actually is when a couple from, did you ever read that story about a couple? Oh, well, it was when a cruise ship a few Christmases back was diverted, and it couldn't get to the Bahamas. So instead, it got stuck in St. John for Christmas. And as mortifying as that is for all of those people, the funniest one was this couple from St. John who had got up at 2 a.m, driven to Boston for their big retirement. Like, this is the trip of a lifetime. They got on the boat at Boston. As they fall asleep, they say, we're going to wake up in paradise. And then suddenly they wake up in the morning and open the curtains and then take a big sniff. And it's like, what's that smell?
The fucking brewery.
I know, the fucking pulp mill.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Oh,
and that was anyway, classic. But it's I would do anything for a copy of that brochure.
Oh my God! Yeah, I should have just snagged it.
You should have taken that. But well, you saw that Pierre. I can't even pronounce his surname, but the conservatively, the Pierre Poilievre. You see that they released a video earlier this week celebrating Canada. And someone has done a check on the stock footage, and basically all the footage is like Russia, Amsterdam. It basically hardly. They've obviously just put together such a shitty hatchet job of a promo. Amazing. So it's like celebrating true Canada, real Canadians, and like the picture of the sheep herder is in Albania, and the picture of the planes is in Russia. I mean, it couldn't be more. But I know it's
that's. I mean, this is perfect segue into, before that, I got to officially welcome you to a chat.
But when do we start? We haven't,
we're started.
This is it?
Oh, we're in it. Yeah.
Oh, we're in it. Oh, I didn't realize
this is how it goes, James.
Oh, I see. We're in it. I thought we had a start. No, but this isn't it, is it?
Is this your first, chill podcast chat? Or
I'm done with the chat. I would have started with more guns and blazing. I was saving the gold.
No.
For the, okay.
No. We were, listen, so far, like I'm on the edge of my seat. So,
okay. Good.
But I do want to officially welcome you to A Chat with Heart podcast. Like, this is fucking, you're a get.
Well, no, not at all. I'm not at all again. It's genuinely an honor to do it. And you know that I'm a, huge fan of your work. You as a person, a huge fan of everything you and Dale do together. I mean, I guess the thing that I love so much about what both of you do is I love the journey that's taken you from New Brunswick around the world back to the Maritimes. I'm a fan of the work. I'm a fan of the music. But I'm also a huge fan of the work ethic and knowing how insanely hard it is to do what we do where we do it. I mean, it's hard in Canada anyway, but then when we are also basing ourselves in a place where it's, you can love, and it's not disparaging to the region to say that it is hard to do what we do here and that it's hard to get things done. And it's testament to how much we love it that we are willing to be here because we love it. But it's a hell of a lot harder. And I think that's something that isn't always recognized.
No, on that note, because I had actually wanted to ask you about this. So, people say like, I wrote it down because I can't remember anything. There's a saying, you do what you love for work and you'll never work a day in your life. Well, I would like to change the saying to do what you love for work and you'll work harder than you've ever thought possible, endless hours. At times you'll go broke. But you do stand the chance of gaining more joy and a rich and full life with far fewer regrets on your deathbed. Now, is that too long a saying to switch that to?
No, because I mean, it's better to have all of the detail in the phrase rather than needing 15 asterisks or caveats and it's funny, that original quote about, I believe it was wrongly attributed for many years to Bob Dylan. Everyone said Bob Dylan said that, but then it turned out apparently that he didn't. Well, I want you to send me that and I will, I would like to display it above my desk, quoted to you.
Right.
Because it's an interesting thing that we have chosen to do this thing where we follow our dreams and have been, obviously, lucky and blessed enough that, have been able to continue to do it because lots of, people don't. And I think this is the one thing that always seems like the win, which is that, of the many, many, many children who want to become an artist of any discipline, probably, I don't know what the stat is, but, 0.001% probably end up doing it in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And so the fact that we are still doing what we love and doing it, and some days we feel very successful, other days we feel crushingly unsuccessful, but ultimately, it's that thing where you look at yourself. I guess it's that thing where they talk about, the top 1% of wealth, say, and how there's such a vast within that 1%. There's a huge amount of disparity, and those people all feel different. And I guess it's that thing where if you're working as a performing artist of any discipline, and surviving, and indeed getting by, putting food on the table with that, then you're in the same top 1% of making it in that field as Taylor Swift or Jerry Seinfeld. In that, there's such a tiny fraction of people get to do this, and it never stops being a pleasure and a privilege. Yeah,
that's true. I do wish I would have accepted earlier on. I've accepted it now. That in this chosen life, it's not going to be the end of the pain. It's not going to be the end of a lot of things. You might, be on a healing journey your entire life. And maybe if you're lucky, your work can help you in that. I know it's certainly helped me. And it sounds like, from seeing your work, reading your book, listening to your podcast, that it's doing some of that for you as well, that it's just helping you evolve into more the best of you is what I think. But I do wish that there would have been like a class in school that would have been like, if you want to be successful, there's a really good chance that you have to accept, it's not going to be easy. It's like everything you said too, the highs, the lows. And the sooner you accept that in your life for everything, right?
Totally.
The more you'll have less suffering through
Yes,
the pain.
yeah, totally, yeah. And I think the other thing is, why aren't these things taught in school? Like I remember at school. I mean, again, hardly any, performing arts or creative, anything creative was taught. Or if it was taught at my school, it certainly wasn't discussed in careers guidance as an option. And yet, what I find fascinating now, and I'm always saying this to friends in England some of whom are from here, who live in England and perform for a living, and they kind of like, I could never imagine coming back to New Brunswick. And I'm like, yeah, but if you did, I feel like you would have way more work than you have back in England. And I think it's because the thing that isn't taught is, like, for example, in drama, I suspect, and I don't know, again, as a kid, I wasn't involved in anything like that. And I actually probably, even if there was more, I wouldn't have been. And I was, very, as we discussed before, very shy and nervous as a kid, so wouldn't have been involved in drama. But the discussion, for example, with drama and music is always like, it's either being like a Hollywood star or being a Grammy Award-winning artist, or there's nothing. And there's never talk about like all of the many right. layers underneath that, of which people can live a very fulfilling, happy life. Earning, a decent wage that would be the same as if they worked, a standard job, whether it be for Irving or for the government or whatever else, and maybe not be a household name, but have that. And it's bizarre that I believe to this day still isn't taught, whereby, and it's I guess it's that funny thing also, like when we're starting out and before our families fully understand, and some family members still don't, but when we're starting out, they're kind of like, so when are you going to be on, when are you going to be on Just for Laughs? So when are you going to be in an Adam Sandler movie? Or when are you going to be in this? And it's like, no, you don't get it. That's not the end game. In the same way, why aren't you saying to cousin Dave, who might be in, I don't know, hedge funding, why doesn't he own Merrill Lynch yet? I don't know if Merrill Lynch is still a thing. I don't even know if that is connected with hedge funds, but they're not saying to those people, why aren't you running Wall Street yet? So why is it that their benchmark for are you doing okay as a comedian is, are you Adam Sandler yet? Why isn't it, well, the children look fed and the roof is still over the house? And there is a house, and all those things, yeah. So it's a funny thing that there's this ridiculous pressure put on performing artists and any artist. That it's like, well, everyone thinks that, like, I guess, it's that thing where everyone thinks that, success means, or success in that field means this. But then, why not in school teach people, okay, if you want to make a living as a comedian, here's how you can build it up in a small town. And I believe that there's, as I think I said to you before, like, it's basically moving here, leaving London and moving here. For me, it was the very same discipline as like being a plumber, where it's like, if you go to a small town as a plumber, you go out, you do a few jobs, if people like it, they tell people, they spread the word. Same discipline. And yes, that's not going to suit the kind of performer that wants to sit on their backside waiting for the agent to ring with bookings and the agent to say, right, we've got this, this, and this. That's not going to suit that person. But if it is someone with get up and go or wants to do it the organic grassroots way, then it can work.
I love the organic grassroots way. Yeah. The thing I've noticed I've been struggling with, especially since the pandemic, is when people will ask me, when are you going on tour, or are you going back to they're referencing the things that we used to do a lot, because I was just, to me, I thought that if I had to be successful, I had to be doing all of these things. I had to go to all these places, which, was a part of it for sure. But now that I'm kind of changing my model of how I, in order to be a little bit happier and healthier. But I'm just finding a different way that I think suits me better in what I do. But I do still struggle with this. I feel, I'm not like a loser, but like, I'm not successful because I'm not X, Y, and Z anymore. But yet or like when I say I'm busy, I don't want to fucking bombard people with all the things I have to do, or the creative things I'm planning, the project managing. Super boring. It's boring as fuck, but I gotta do it. And I do actually enjoy some of that stuff, but like, people don't get that, so it just sounds like you're a fucking loser.
Yes, yeah. I know exactly what you're saying, and it's that thing with people. Yeah, and it's that thing where people need to get better at asking. I mean, because the worst question for everyone is, what's next?
Yes.
And again,
Shit,
and you see this,
scratch that off my list.
Yeah. Well, no, but it's that thing where, well, no, I mean, and to be fair, I do ask it in interview context because it is relevant, and everyone has an answer prepared. It's the what's next from every single family member, but then you see this from everyone when it's like, I saw Simone Biles, comes off after doing like creating the 50th move that she's created in her career under the age of 30, greatest ever gymnast of all time, and someone says, what's next? And she's like, holy fucking shit, give me 5 minutes. Like,
I'm gonna go to the spa.
Yeah. Like maybe take a break. Maybe we can't talk about what I just did. I just broke like a gazillion world records, and and part of it is, of course, people, and I think people aren't. It's a weird one because those questions annoy us. But it partly is because people don't understand our industry, and they're trying to be polite, and we're trying to not feel. And I agree with you. One of the things I used to do a lot of was basically saying yes to every single gig, because what sounded impressive was I'm on the road, and I basically really relished that thing of like people saying, so how's it go? And especially when people ask it in a patronizing way, like, oh, how's the comedy going? How's the music going? We've all had that from family members, but also from all kinds of people, and so you always want to have that answer, which is somewhat pathetic, but it's we are needy people. That's a given. And you want to be able, I want to be able to say, I just got back from Toronto, I was doing the debate, but then equally their response is probably going to annoy me, because it's going to be, oh really? Oh, well done. Yeah, and then that's going to probably annoy me. So there's almost not a win, but to your point, I would, and I guess, it's one of those things people often don't like talking about, when you do a creative thing especially, it's like people don't want to talk about the money side, which is, of course, an important fact, because we have to live off it the same way any other job. The same way when someone says they got a pay rise at Irving, people know they got a promotion at Irving, we know that equates to a pay rise. And yet with performing, it's almost like this kind of but to your point, I used to prefer to say yes to everything that involved being on the road, because being on the road sounded impressive. So it's like, well, in the last week I've been in Winnipeg, I've been in Saskatoon, I've been in blah, 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 blah. Even if doing all of those gigs in all of those different places basically meant losing money, to me, I would do them. Yeah. Partly because obviously we have to get our names out there, and those things lead to things. But to your point about, but it was also partly to say this thing that sounded amazing, but actually, conversely, was a complete disaster financially. Whereas when now the real answer is, and like you, I've kind of, flipped what I do, and it's very much, and for numerous reasons, and again, like, just simply surviving. My priority, one of the things that I'm very aware of, for instance, is that I don't book many club gigs around the country, which the offers are always there, but like, to go to Calgary and do yucks, club gigs, pays peanuts. And really, with expenses, at most I might be going away for the weekend and coming back with $200, exhausted, tired. The club gigs are fun, and they're a great way to get your name out. But generally, I'm kind of keeping my diary clear of bad stuff like that, to make way for the fact that a corporate might come in. And that's the thing and corporates are the main things that obviously pay the bills. They're the things that weirdly in Atlantic Canada seem to be more prevalent, which is one of the ways we do benefit, which is, when I hear about in Toronto, the corporate fees just keep dropping because there's hundreds of performers willing to do it for less. Yeah. Whereas in Atlantic Canada, if you want a professional, well-known, internationally well-known musician, or professional, well-known, internationally known comedian, there's a handful of us. And thanks to people like our mutual friend Steph Purcell, those prices are kept at a reasonable, and should I say, high level, especially compared to elsewhere in the country. But So yeah, but that's such a boring answer when someone says, how are things going?
Yeah,
how are things going? And I go, I've just been to Saskatoon, Winnipeg, I was doing shows in Calgary there all weekend, done 5 shows, 2 nights, blah, 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 blah. And then that sounds amazing. But what that actually means is I'm skin. But then the honest answer is, which is, well, I've been doing shows for bankers and insurance salespeople and the Construction Association of Nova Scotia. And no, I kept my diary clear for next year because I want to get more of those corporate gigs. It's a really boring answer that no one wants to hear.
The eyes start to glaze over, and you start to see the eyes wander to see where can they.
Exactly. Yeah. Suddenly, it's not the fun thing. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Where I've reframed everything I do. Well, it's that thing of trying to balance it, and it's like that. I think it's the George Clooney thing when he talks about one for me, one for them, and it's that thing where for us it's like one for us, one for the bank balance, and also the age my kids are 10 and 13. Like a few weeks ago, I was in Halifax for a week. There was the Trailer Park Boys have this streaming network called SwearNet, which they founded to be able to put their own content out, sell it. And I don't believe this is what went down, but basically they bought the rights, the Trailer Park Boys, back from Mike Clattenburg, and then their plan was to put it all out on SwearNet, but then Netflix offered them a huge amount of money to put it out on Netflix. So suddenly they got the streaming network and they need content for it. So in addition to creating new Trailer Park Boys content for it, they also do a brilliant job of supporting the Nova Scotia film and TV industry by producing shows. Anyway, I was asked to be in a sitcom about kind of a very filthy sitcom about open mic comedians, and I played like an evil, villainous British comedian that comes over and tries to, take everyone's jobs and blah blah blah. But this is one of those things that comes up where it's like they approach me, but I'm like, okay, I know the fees are going to. I know it's not going to be paying much. I know it's going to be, but basically, so it's that thing where working out with Pam, my wife, like what is. Can I do this? I'd like to do it. It will be fun. I don't do any other fun things. I don't go on boys' trips. I don't go out partying. I don't I work and I'm home. No strippers, not for, actually even when I was young, no strippers. In the good old days, back in the old days, but nowadays, like nothing. Like I don't go out. In fact, don't get me wrong, I party at home with Pam and we plow through the wine hardcore. But yes, but I don't go off and do so. So I guess when a job comes up, which is might not be paying much, but it's gonna be a fun thing. It's that thing where I go back to them and go, look, I would love to do this, but I can't be there for 3 weeks. So if you can fit all my scenes into 6 days, pay me the standard actor day rate, then I'm there. And but it's again balancing out those things, and really so really, I guess what I'm getting at is that those gigs that don't pay much, but also sound great. It's like, what's of all the things that I've done in the last 2 months, the number one thing that if anyone says what you've been up to, I'll probably mention the fact that I did was in a sitcom for the Trailer Park Boys streaming network, even though it was the thing that paid the least by a long shot. But it's the thing that it was the most fun. It's the thing that sounds the best, and it's the thing I'm most excited about coming out.
Yeah.
So for me, that's my equivalent of these people who go off on girls' weekends or lads' weekends. Those are my fun things.
Yeah, I completely agree. So sometimes. To summarize for my little heartbeat listeners, sometimes you got to do things for the money when the money's good. Only when the money's good. Yeah. Sometimes you do things just for the love of doing it, and but it checks a box or multiple boxes for you in that it's fun, it's creative, you're connecting with people, and it's in line with your values, your goals, and kind of what you're on your path,
That's it.
And then sometimes, sometimes you just do shit things and you learn from that and you go, okay, I know what questions to ask next time. Like you said, you can, this is the other thing that I think is really important. You can ask for what you need. You can let people know, this is what I started doing this years ago. This is what I would, my typical fee would be for this particular thing. Now, if that's horrendous for you or whatever, let's talk. Maybe we do a shorter set. Maybe it's just me and not a full band or a duo and not,
right.
Like there's, you can ask, you can say, this is what I need.
Totally. Yeah, and, that's it. And it's interesting. Yeah, we talked about this before, that interesting thing about how, you learn from every bad gig, and how essentially like my rider basically reads like a list of the disastrous gigs I've had, like, because the list of demands are obviously not, it's not champagne, it's not cocaine, it's not M&Ms with the brown ones taken out. It's literally things like seats facing stage, microphone that works, a sound system that is audible for all, and when people look at it, when you show that to a professional, they kind of go, well, obviously, and I go, yeah, but trust me, this list exists because, and that's the weirdest. I guess that's one of the most interesting things about doing what we do in Atlantic Canada, or indeed, in Canada per se. It is the 80%, probably, well, outside of theatre work, right? In terms of private gigs or corporate gigs, 70% of the time you're working with people who've never worked with a performer before. So you're in addition to having to worry about your own show and what you're going to do, you've also got to worry, you're also basically training someone in what is required. So, I mean, I've had, and interestingly, often it can be the very high-paid corporates that don't listen to this, and they're willing to pay the fee, but then they try and scrimp on the sound. And I remember doing this happened numerous times. And invariably I get there and I test the mic. And now, of course, it's like I want to get there as early as possible to check the mic. I mean, you kind of try and plan everything now. Can I speak to the tech person weeks in advance? But the amount of times I turn up and I'm speaking to the mic and it's like, it's poppy, or it's like a karaoke mic from Costco that's been picked up for $50, and the speaker's not going to the back. And the person you've had a dozen meetings with, at the company, who's promised you everything you need, and we're going to get the best on this, and yes, don't worry, we completely understand. And they're standing there shrugging their shoulders, going, oh, well, and then whenever I hear this, I hate this, when they say, well, I've seen you before, you're a pro, you can handle it. And it's like, I can handle anything when this shit's working. Like a really great mechanic can fix any car with some tools. But so you might have seen me in a theatre deal with a heckler, but that was with a working microphone and a light on the stage. We are standing inside a hotel conference room, and 300 people are arriving in 3 hours, and no one beyond the first 3 rows are going to be able to hear me. So they're all going to be talking. So no, I can't handle that. That is, and so that's the constant of. I mean, again, for anyone listening, I mean, it sounds like we're talking about all the negatives, but mainly because I don't want to be. It's boring if we just say talking about all the positives. But
it is great when it's good, when it's awesome.
And of course, there's nothing more satisfying than when a disaster goes well. But on positives, I want to, because we have so many things in common. But in terms of our shows this year, we have something in common, which is that we're both, me just once, but you many nights, spending time on stage with a symphony orchestra. So I'd love to hear about how that concept came together for you for the tour, and how it's.
Oh my God, I love it. Are we doing your podcast now? This is great.
No, this is how we're doing.
I'm sending this to you. Well, okay. Well, I want to hear about, I do want to hear about that on your end, because, okay, so I have a dream that is not yet realized, which is to play with a symphony orchestra.
Right.
And, but this fall, I, as part of the baby steps for me, there's a lot involved in getting to that point, as you know, which you can share. But years ago, I talked to my friend Megan Smith, because she had done, when you don't know how to do something, you look to people who have done the thing, and you ask them, how did you do it? And she was so great to talk me through and give me some tips. And she said, the number one thing, Christina, that would help is get the charts, and get the charts for the songs, because those cost a lot of money, and a lot of artists don't have those, and the symphony then has to arrange that, and it's
right.
So
the charts is that sheet music.
Yeah, sheet music. Because most symphony players, they're not, playing by ear or heart. They're reading the charts.
Yes, that's right, and that's what we had to do. Yeah, was basically get the. But yes, I correct myself. So when I said similar, I guess is it a string quartet you have with you?
It's Elm City String Quartet in New Brunswick, and in Halifax with we'll be playing with another quartet. This will be my first time ever performing with an ensemble of strings and with the actual charts. That
amazing.
But tell me, tell me about your experience, because you played with an actual symphony orchestra, which is my dream. So,
yeah, and I must admit, I did think you had it, and I mean, you clearly would nail it. I mean, I was actually way off with my timing.
No,
I should
it's
expect,
okay.
but I will just say this again. I would like to tell people about you perform with the Elm City String Quartet, and I can do this because our printer just dropped off the first copy of the new issue of Edits, which the pages have not been bound. This is so we can check the pages.
Oh my God, so exciting!
I know no one can see this, but this is the. I'm going to read this. Christina Martin is one of the most consistently exciting singer-songwriters working in Canada today. Her ACMA-nominated album Storm is a bona fide instant classic that hasn't left the edit record decks in months. Her performance features lush string arrangements and reaches new musical heights for this acclaimed, originally from New Brunswick, musician. But it is during her pounding Titanic and tender live shows when she really electrifies. Martin is accompanied by her 5-piece band and New Brunswick's renowned Elm City String Quartet for this concert you don't want to miss. And I should point out, because Christine will be too modest to mention it, listeners, she will be in New Brunswick from the 4th to the 6th of October. Anyway, this only arrived like 10 minutes before we started talking. So
I cannot believe. I mean, one of the things which we'll get to, because I have a wonderfully fun outro when we do say goodbye, which I know I'm going to have a hard time doing. But you are so generous. So, I mean, I emailed you because I was like, if anybody knows, like promoting yourself it is tough these days. And I'm going guerrilla style for a lot of it in Canada. And the state of our journalism, because I'm assuming because organizations are basically closing and then not able to pay proper journalists, so the state of getting proper reviews and articles and whatnot, and
it's impossible.
It's really hard, and you so generously offered to do that, and I'm so tickled pink.
Well. I mean, we exist solely to do that, which is celebrate things we love. And we started the magazine. Obviously, there was a hope that it would be, a sensible business move, but essentially it was born out of, as all great creative. Not saying it's great, but as all successful creative ventures should be, it was born out of a love of wanting this magazine to exist. Yeah, we can understand why there wasn't a magazine that accurately reflected life in Atlantic Canada. So we thought we had a policy when we moved here, which was we weren't going to come here and be those wankers that move from away and complain about why haven't you got this, why haven't you got that. We just said, well, if there's something we miss, then we will bring it here. So, and I believe in that thing. If there's something, if there's something you want to exist that doesn't exist, then create it. Like, don't sit around complaining. And so, anyway, it wasn't generous at all. As you know, I'm genuinely a fan of your work, and so artists are often very shy about reaching out, which is a funny thing because it can be sometimes not. I mean, there's so much going on all the time that I could do an 80-page magazine every week. But it's interesting how often someone might get in touch at the day of a show, and it's like, well, if you told me 3 months ago, we could have put it in. And so that's another. Again, I know we're on about 10 different tangents right now, but yeah, artists promoting themselves is a very funny. I mean, one thing that I will say to anyone listening, I mean, it might sound like stating the obvious, but I know there's very few media outlets left, but there are still some. And the number one thing, the mistake that people have made, and I've seen this in 24 years of working in magazines, like investing in decent photography. And indeed, I mean, basically everything you do is just absolutely spot on. You've got all the information, you've got press kits, you've got all that stuff there. But I would say 24 years ago when I started at GQ, I would be asked to research best hotel, a feature would come in and be best hotels in the Maldives, say. And I would be I was on the picture desk when I started out, so I'd be tasked with getting pictures of all these hotels. When the pictures came in, some were transparencies, like slides, some were prints that had to be scanned, some were digital, and then some wouldn't send them, or some would send shitty pictures, or some would send low-resolution pictures. Anyway, long story short, what could have been the journalist's pick of the best hotel in the Maldives or whatever it was they said, Mauritius, if we didn't get any good pictures of it, that was just gone. And basically, whoever had the best picture got the full, and similarly, I mean, I'm surrounded by newspaper clippings of myself. Not sound like an egomaniac, a couple, but I basically, when I was starting out, the only way that I would get, I mean, I'll use an example. I mean, this was a local magazine in South London where I was doing a show the same week as some was absolutely completely unknown at the time, just started touring, tons of other far bigger and properly successful comedians were performing in that same place. I could see inside their pictures were like postage stamp size, because they'd obviously the magazine had been sent a low resolution, crappy picture, and just because they had a good quality picture. So I mean, it works with everything. I mean, and to this day in the magazine, we might be trying to do something on an art exhibition, and the pictures we get are low resolution. They're not enough to print. And yes, I will write once and say, can I get high res? But if it doesn't happen, we're moving on.
Yeah.
And so I think for the starting point, artists are scared or nervous about reaching out to people. And then also once they do, they don't have the assets ready to go. And it's like, make life easy for the journalists. As you said, the journalists are overworked. Make it easy. Even send them a Q&A with yourself. So you don't
I got it. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, so they can use a quote. And then the other thing I'd say about that is that part of why I understand why artists are nervous about it, because they maybe feel like they shouldn't do. They feel like, again, it goes back to that idea of what is success and what we're told when we're younger, and their feeling is, well, I shouldn't have to go to people, like someone else should be doing it for me. Maybe, I don't know. Well, but what I don't get about that thought process is that why is it less dignified or to write and say, hey, I'm doing a show, or I've got an album out, or I'm doing a tour, will you write about me? Why is it somehow more dignified for Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively to cut a check to someone for $1 million a month to go, tell everyone I'm amazing? To me, that's that's way more undignified and dirty and pathetic. And again, I'm not slagging them specifically, but every single person who is successful is paying millions to publicists and PRs to get my face on the front of this magazine, right? And it's like, Ryan, you've got enough money, you're successful enough, why are you still paying someone? That to me is pathetic. When you are scraping by as an artist, it's not undignified to write to someone and say, will you write about my show? Because you're trying to make a living.
I think it's true. I now it's funny, I didn't actually ask you, and I didn't even I didn't expect it, although if anything, I would have expected maybe that you wrote back and said, we have some options if you'd like, and here are the rates. And I would have been awesome, great, thank you, because. And
we do. And obviously, I mean, yes, we do have rates. And advertising is, of course, how we make our. It's how the magazine survives. It definitely doesn't survive off of newsstand sales. Obviously, we sell direct. The business model is completely different to how it was, obviously, working in London, where both Pam and I are working for magazines there, where we had like 60, 70, 80 people working on those titles, and some of whose jobs I didn't even know existed and never met those people. But now we do all of those jobs. Like the person whose job it is to make sure that when you pay for a display in Indigo, that the display is being adhered to correctly in Winnipeg. That used to be someone else. Now it's me. And again, similarly, when we were starting out, trying to cross everything over, I would take tour dates, these barely paid yuck gigs in Winnipeg, so I could check up on the magazine over there and go and meet the store manager of Indigo, all those things. But yes, advertising. But basically, when you got in touch, we and I would normally have done that hustle, but it was genuinely like at that point we were past the production stage of advertising, and also, I mean, just writing about amazing artists is what we do. So it's not something we're looking to get, and we can let the lovely people of Rolex or. Lovely people of Rolex, they can afford it.
It's a really sexy, slick magazine. It's funny, I have it on my to-do list here to get subscription for us, but also my mom for Christmas. But just to your point of investing in good photography, do you know, I got an email from Anne Marie one day in 2014 And Anne is Dale, my husband's aunt.
Oh,
and
wow.
so
I'd forgotten that. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, she said, in the email, I have some
Dale Murray. It's funny. I know. I mean, I should have realized, given this amount of times, I should have realized.
He's certainly not out there promoting it. But
No, I'm sure.
It's okay.
But yes, that's
I'm
interesting.
not related to Steve Martin, but maybe we are. She emailed me and said, I have some career advice. Would you like to come over to the cottage? Because her cottage is just 20 minutes from us. And I was like, of course, for fuck's sakes, yes, I will come to your cottage and take whatever advice, you give me. But it was this pivotal time in my career where I had finally received a lot of financial support to really I really had to take a go and just go for the gold, with the recording, with marketing and everything. And I knew what I wanted, but it was going to take money, and I didn't have that at all out of pocket, and anyway, so I thought Anne's going to give me some singing tips, some musical tips, and I go to her cottage and she was so great. But she just sat me down and she said, probably paraphrasing this, but basically, you got a great bod, you should show it and invest in your photography. And I think she was right. And I started to have a lot of fun with it. And, from the makeup, the hair, the wardrobe, and it helped me in my music videos. And I just kind of embraced it all. Whereas before I was very nervous and scared, but also I think the financial side of that. If you want, it's not that this stuff is like completely outrageous, but we have so much great talent that you can collaborate in this. But I mean, for me at the time, it was a couple $1,000 versus $20 to your friend with a cell phone. And
nowadays those prices are even less because so many people now know how to do it. So it goes to a question. So prior to that, would you say that you were nervous or of kind of being allowing the fact that you're a beautiful woman? Were you nervous about not using that, but were you nervous about showing it off in much the same way? And an example I would use is like how sometimes in Atlantic Canada, people have this idea of like, well, I kind of need to look like I don't really care. And I see it with comedians where everyone's up there in, which is fine. And by all means, if you are the kind of comic that can go up in a hoodie or a filthy, filthy T-shirt and do what you do. But as you know, I mean, I dress up. I will wear a suit. Often the more background, the more kind of backward, if I'm in a drive-in or in the middle of the woods, I will actually dress up even more, almost to kind of highlight, make it's funny and make it more absurd, but also to show to the audience, hey, we're in a scorching hot venue in the middle of summer, in the middle of nowhere. You are all in beachwear and you're dying. Imagine how I'm up on stage wearing a tuxedo and bow tie. Like, we're in this together. Yeah. But also, you came a long way. You took a ferry boat or whatever it was to do a show. I'm going to give you a fucking show. Like, that's my so I guess that's kind of my question was, prior to that, did you feel like you almost you had to kind of I can't try to think of the right word because it's not, but kind of dial it down to kind of look to kind of because to be a real artist, I mean, to dial it down and look like I don't really care, or
I think it was like I'm easily overwhelmed, like and I think for me it was just overwhelming to think of like, well I didn't really know what I wanted to look like. Like it's been years of like of just going through trial and error, and I was scared to take that on. Like what do I do with my hair? What do I wear? I wanted to be like the artists that I idolized, like Annie Lennox and Tina Turner, but I needed to find myself, and that's scary to finally take that step. And in the music too, how I present myself to people. And I'm glad I went through it all, through all the pain and trials and errors, because I think that if I hadn't, I'd be right back there, 10, 20 years ago, like having no clue and just being full of regrets. And now I feel like I've come into I feel like I'm still just getting started, but I know who I am. I know, and I feel comfortable in my skin, and I know how I like to present myself. But
that's everything.
I think it was just scary. But
well, that is everything, and that's like, it's that thing about finding what makes you feel comfortable up there. And I think when I was starting out, I did the jeans and t-shirt thing for a long time because it was that thing of almost thinking, I was almost embarrassed. It's like, well, I'm not very good at this yet. I don't know how to do it. So at least if I look like I don't care, it's less embarrassing. But it was as soon as I started going, no, I'm going to put the pressure on. If I'm turning up at some shitty open mic in a bow tie, just the ridiculousness of how that looks will look. And also another thing that kind of essentially formed how I perform, rampaging around the stage and pacing constantly or frenetic. That very much stemmed from me starting out, and indeed certainly when I moved here, this style of comedy of people acting like they don't care. And of course, the Louis C.K. style of the Shane Gillis style of Ricky Gervais, I'm wearing a black T-shirt, I don't really want to be here, works great when you are one of the greatest comedians of all time. It doesn't work when you're starting out as an open micer. And I was going to open mic nights where there would be 12 guys, and unfortunately, invariably, it was all guys then, all wearing basically the same uniform of, dirty T-shirt, hoodie, coming up acting like they don't care, and kind of doing a deadpan quiet, which again is great if you are Stephen Wright or if you but when you're new and you're starting out and you haven't got the jokes and you haven't got the performance, then it's just a person in the corner talking who looks like they don't want to be there, and the only person that doesn't want to be there more is everyone in the audience. So that's when I kind of was trying to overcome that, and I moved here. I'm trying to do these open mic nights, and I'm turning up. I'm sitting there for hours and hours waiting to go up, watching the audience just sink and just want to just. And because, I mean, in England they would have just left because they're Maritimers, they're polite and they sit it out, and then I basically kind of realised I need to literally put a firework up the arse of this entire room. So if I run out wearing a ridiculous, penguin bow tie, waiter or just full suit and just go absolutely mad, rampaging on the room, and at least, even if I'm not funny yet, I don't know my jokes yet, at least I can show them I want to be there.
Yeah.
And then maybe they'll want to be there. But when the performer looks like they don't want to be there, the audience is never going to, like I say, this doesn't, it's different with extremely skilled, amazing comics who have done this for 20 years and mastered that as their style. Much the same with musicians, I mean, it's like, Liam Gallagher doesn't have to move an inch to be incredibly charismatic, and he can scowl at the audience, and he can throw a beer at them, and he can, give the audience the finger. But if we see an artist that we haven't heard of acting like they don't want to be there, then we don't want to be either. It's such a anyway. But that's kind of why I dress up as well.
That's why you try. I think it's important to try. I think it was. I think it was one of the Heartbreakers who I can't remember which one that said, I'm again paraphrasing, but for Christ's sakes, like, just care, Why, and that's one thing I noticed about watching the Heartbreakers is like they may not be wearing like like bedazzled whatever jackets, but they have this style about them that's really cool, and you can tell they tried. And then of course the music is incredible, and they worked their asses off. I mean, their entire careers was just like they were like living for this music, and it comes across. Yeah,
well, that's it. And that's obviously why you're constantly thinking outside the box and thinking about things like, adding a string quartet and doing all different things to make. And I think that's the other thing, is that because we feel so lucky and happy to do what we do, it is that thing of, and again, I don't know if this is just an Atlantic Canada thing, but I'm always so massively aware of the fact that we are reliant on people coming to shows again and again, more so than in bigger cities. Like, if you lived in England, you're not expecting the same person to come in. I mean, comedians, for example, tour the same show for 3 or 4 years, and club comics do the same set for 10 or 20 years. But yet here I'm reliant on the fact that I need people, I really need people, and kindly they do come out 2 or 3 times a year sometimes to see me. And so that is, wherever I go, I am like researching, like whenever people get in touch and say, oh, it's my wife's anniversary, it's our anniversary tonight, it's my wife's birthday, whatever it is, I will get some information on that person, try and form a joke about it, try and form something that creates a moment in the room, and basically try and make it so that every show is different. And those are the things that I feel like, people get when they come to shows with people like you or I, where it's like, we clearly want to be there, but also crucially, we're so grateful everyone else is, and we're going to make sure they leave having had a special, experience.
Yeah, I wonder if you can write it. We're coming to see you October 25th in Moncton at the Capitol Theater. Such an incredible venue.
That's gorgeous.
So now you don't have to do this, but it would be hilarious if you found a way to joke about Dale being related to Anne Murray. But I don't know if that's possible.
There is. But I mean, the thing is most of my jokes stem from just apps. A lot of the gags just stem from either my kind of ridiculous enthusiasm for things. So the fact that I'm so excited to learn this, that will definitely. But I would don't tell me that's happening.
I want to be a co-writer on this joke, and make sure it involves shame of being the shame involved in being related to Anne Murray.
Right, yeah, and how most people would brag about it, but could that be any more Maritimes? That there's
super fucking embarrassing.
That just by being in this room, everyone here tonight has one degree of separation between them and Anne Murray, which is the most Maritimes thing ever. Also, the most Maritimes thing ever is the fact that Dale is so humble that even though he is highly successful in the music industry on his own bat, he still doesn't tell anyone that Anne Murray is his own.
Yeah,
and then I can start playing Snowbird, and then away we go. Beautiful.
Have you ever written a song or sung a song? I don't know if I've ever.
Well, I can't. Just the New Brunswick song, which is the song that I performed with a musician, British musician by the name of Ethan Ash, that we wrote together.
Okay.
But I can't sing, so I just talk on it. Do you know Mike Skinner of The Streets, the British, The Street? He was like a hip hop artist who came out. He's actually exactly my age, and he's basically he's like he's a rapper who basically talks, kind of like Sleaford. Anyway, so that was essentially what I do. I just talk. Channeling him, and I just talk over it. So Ethan sings, and then there's a couple of lines that I have where I talk. And the night where we did the reveal with the St. John Youth Orchestra, we had it all set that the conductor was going to give me a nod and Ethan was going to give me a nod when I should start talking. And I came in just way too early, even knowing they were going to, and so they're all, so there's like 68 kids in this orchestra, incredible talents. Like they could basically come up through the system. Some of them come up through the Systema program, but it was unbelievable how when I came up with this idea, basically, the joke was I do this thing with Sundays where I end a show with talking about how I want to be depending on where I am, it can be essentially I've got a Canadian passport, but I want to be a New Brunswicker. And here's what I'm going to do so I talk about what it took to become a Canadian, but here's what it takes to become a New Brunswicker. And I have this list of jokes, and it's everything from I want to make homemade wine out of a blue plastic barrel that I stole before the pulp mill shut down. I want to drive a four-wheeler on a highway. I want to pick up women at the Irving Big Stop, like all this stuff. And this long list. And so for years, I've had basically with these Imperial Theatre shows, because I performed there, or basically done a big show in St. John every year I've lived here, which is 10 years. Every year it's like, how do I up the ante a bit? How do I, and in most years I'm coming up with a new, like 90 minutes every year, workshopped at Long Bay where we first met. And, but this time it was my 20th year in comedy. So I thought I'll do for want of a better phrase, a greatest hits tour. I thought if a musician can do a greatest hits tour, why can't I? And it was basically based on the fact that all these jokes that I was doing here 10 years ago or 5 years ago, I dropped because I felt like everyone had seen them. But then suddenly now there's this huge influx of people that have moved here. And they're coming out to see me. And I realized that these audiences are not made up of people that came 10 years ago. They're made up of new people. So I'm like, well, why have I burned all that material that would be so relevant for them? But so I sold it as a great, but I thought, how do I have, so the big surprise was so when I do this routine normally, the pomp and circumstance plays in the background. So it's a bit like that Molson I Am Canadian ad. And basically over months of rehearsal, we planned it so that I would get to I want to drive a four-wheeler on a highway. I want to, I don't know, wear head-to-toe camouflage just to go to Tim Hortons. And then I said, I want to share a stage with the St. John Youth Orchestra. And at that exact point, the screen goes up and a 68-piece youth orchestra is right behind me playing. And the crowd obviously goes mad. It was just this amazing moment. Just wanting to create experiences where people go, I paid $40 for a ticket. I laughed, I got my money's worth, and then boom, I got this experience.
Big surprise.
Yeah, it's like, how do you say to people, A, thank you for coming, but B, please do come again. Please
That
do
way.
talk about this. Yeah,
always have a symphony orchestra ready.
But always have it. Yeah, so I'm trying to plan it for future shows in different places, because for me it was such a phenomenal experience. But I hadn't really thought about the fact that the feedback I got from them was how great it was for them, because I think possibly those students and those musicians hadn't played to 850 people before, and again to get for them to get this kind of full house standing ovation, all this stuff. So anyway, then we did that. After that bit ended, Ethan then came out and we did the New Brunswick song, which again we had Rachel Kidd created sheet music from that. So to answer your question, I unfortunately am not music. I have the worst singing voice. But I can rap / talk.
Rap.
It's not even rapping, because I couldn't even. It would be an insult to rappers. I can talk. Anyone listening can tell.
I'm so curious, but we'll have to have a session sometime. I'm so curious if I can just get you to sing, shout, sing, or
I would
something.
love that.
We could do some auto tuning.
I would love to try that. Like, let's make that whether it's a podcast or it's a reel.
Let's just come over and we'll just have a collab. I'll cook for you. Pam can come.
This would be a great. Well, funny enough, because I'm always coming up with different TV show concepts, and I mean, literally, people trying to teach me to do things that I could never do. Would be a great episode. You trying to teach me, and I'm not joking. I'm not being humble or modest when I say I have the worst thing, but it is diabolical.
I can't wait. But we can tweak it.
Right.
We can also get it to the best naturally, but then we can just auto tune you.
Nice, perfect. So that's but that would be a fun thing to do.
It would be fun. It would be fun to meet Pam too. I want to keep you forever, but I am. I've already gone over time with you.
Well, yes, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I wasted the first 10 minutes by rabbiting on, not knowing that we were.
But
anyway,
it's
and
all
I know
keepable.
We have to keep. I know we have to keep these things tight, because again,
we're going
to wrap. So what's the one thing we should talk about?
Well, the one thing. There are so many things. First of all, that you've already naturally. Like, I had it on my list. I wanted to talk about money.
Oh,
you just naturally brought it up.
Interesting.
But not just that, the magazine. I mean, everything that you do. I do want to mention to my Little Heartbeat listeners, I mean, I do a lot, like my own intro, so I can brag about all the things, the podcasts, your national best-selling book, James Mullinger, Brit Happens, or Living the Canadian Dream, which I'm a huge fan of. You also do keynote speaking. You're also a host and creator of Atlantic Edition with James Mullinger. You do Mullinger's Weekly Ramblings. You're a podcast host. So there's more. There's more. I'll cover it all. But I was going to also ask you about your late in life diagnosis with ADHD, and a very personal question, which you don't have to answer, but I recently have started taking a medication for depression and anxiety, and basically I was afraid to do that my whole life, to actually go, I'm going to be on something forever. And it's been the most positive experience for me. And I don't know if you chose to do that or not, but just having that diagnosis. Yes. I mean, do we even have time to touch on how that's changed your life?
Good question. I'll try and keep it quick. I mean, so my second book that I'm writing right now is about this, and again, I mean, somewhat that is an excuse as a framework for telling stories that I haven't told yet. But essentially, I mean, it has been. Even this morning when I woke up, and I'm waking up at 5 a.m, and my brain's going a million directions. And it's funny, you mentioned all the things that I do and am doing, and it's one of the things that people are kind enough to say it, like, that I do a lot of things, and how do I? But weirdly, my brain still tells me that I'm not doing enough. Like, my brain is still telling me that I am missing so many opportunities, and I'm not going through so many open doors, and blah blah blah. And it's a crazy thing that we do to ourselves, which is obviously what keeps us productive. And then there's nothing worse than when you're wasting time trying to do everything at the same time. But I did try the Medicaid. I did try the I believe Ritalin's the name of the thing, but the one I took was. Where's the thing? Oh, it's here. It was called. I've got it here. I believe Ritalin is but bifentin, and I did stop based on the fact that I found it. It did the thing it's supposed to do, which made me focused. But it also made me a bit, for want of a better phrase, high. Like the effects reminded me of stimulant drugs from when I was younger.
Yeah, interesting.
And so I kind of just thought that's probably not a good thing. And also, I've managed so far, like it definitely made me be able to focus on a project, which is great. But then equally, the doing 50 things at once might be a nightmare for me mentally. And of course, I guess if it got too much, I always know that option is there. But I've now taken the knowledge as the medication. Essentially, like this morning when my brain is going wild, and I used to lie there thinking, what the fuck is wrong with me? And get depressed about that. Now I just go, well, that's what that is. I know what that is. It's that thing. And so I think I definitely could have used it to very great benefit as a younger person, certainly at school when I was struggling in school and the rest of it. But yes, now I kind of go, I'm somewhat able to channel it and go, okay, just focus. Because I guess what I didn't want to happen was to start taking it because it reminded me of drugs that I used to enjoy when I was a teenager.
Stimulant, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of that. Yeah, so I guess that's what. And again, it's different for everyone. Everyone has different things for it. But I just thought, well, if I cannot. Also, the other thing is, and I think I maybe joked about this on stage that night when you were kind of to come and see me, was that. I don't know if my stand-up is so much like how I'm talking now, where it's just all over the place and all these tangents, and it's just like this. Basically, me rabbiting on, kind of, we're both the same. We go off on multiple different tangents, but we always come back to them. And sometimes that conversation, if you tried to map it, it would look like, I don't know, the wall of a serial killer's house, or no, worse, it would look like the wall of the the suspended detective trying to solve the Zodiac killer, right? All these different strands. And so I my fear was like, what if me suddenly being all sensible and straight and focusing on one thing doesn't work with the stand-up? So really, my medication has always been stand-up. I heard a wonderful quote recently from a comedian where someone said, how do you cope with being on stage every night in front of hundreds of people? And he said, it's weird because life is so busy. He said, what's funny is he's been doing it so long now that when he walks out on stage in front of 500 people every night, his first thought is, at last, some time to myself.
Some time to myself. Right? Yeah. Or being present, perhaps. That's the time when you're I really have to be present.
And then that's the thing. It's like, it's the time when, I think that's what I always enjoyed about it, was that no matter what else was going on, I'm someone that panics and worries, and I'm a stressor. And then even if there's nothing professionally to worry about or career-wise to worry about, I will create things like, oh my God, what's going to happen when my loved ones die or something terrible happens? But like my brain will always go to the negative. And I love the fact that we have, an hour to 90 minutes most nights where no matter what else is going on, you get to focus on one thing. And so that's to me, that's the best, that's the best medication. But it's, I
love it.
Yeah, that's
great. That's helpful. And I think one important thing you said too was the awareness of, okay, now this, I know what this is. And you have this radical acceptance, which can, it's almost like stepping back outside and watching your thoughts and your behaviors and going, I see. Okay, I'm going to go back into it now, but I'm going to not freak out about it. I'm just going to roll with it.
That's exactly it. Exactly it. Can I ask you one question? Can I ask you one? Yeah, I know we have to.
You sure can.
But your seventh album, I believe it was, which came out, am I correct in saying during COVID, Wonderful Lie, which I absolutely love. And I'm curious as to, and it must have felt like, and it's, I love everything you do. It's just such an amazing album, and you must have been so excited to get it out there. And then suddenly you're having to release it during COVID. Did you find that COVID, in some ways, helped it reach more people because people were home, or was it incredibly frustrating not being able to go on the road? And then also tagged onto that question, because I know we said only one, but with a tiny little asterisk and caveat, how was it you were able to be putting this beautiful work out there, but still had the impetus and the drive to write such a beautiful album as Storm while that was out there and still needing to be promoted?
Wow. Well, Wonderful Lie was what came after a very heavy, big project called Impossible to Hold. And it was our way of like, we do tour a lot for financial reasons as well, but also because we enjoy it. I tour with my husband, Dale Murray. It was our way of doing some stripped down songs and also 5 covers of songs that I really loved or that Dale and I both loved doing on the road. So there's a Paul Westerberg song on there. I'm a huge Paul Westerberg fan. There's a Bob Dylan song. There's Richard Thompson song on there. And so it was, we were touring across Canada. We had plans to go, of course, back to Europe, and we had plans to tour in Japan. And I was really starting to feel like finally I'm paying myself back for this big investment of this choice I've made. And, but I didn't expect that. I didn't have any grand expectations for like the album actually reaching too many people. Cause in my experience, it's always been about get in front of people, have the eye contact, do your thing that you do in those spaces. So when we couldn't do that any longer, when we had to actually come home from Europe tour, that was quite scary. And then I'm very much like my mother in that when the shit hits the fan, you do what needs to be done and you pivot and you think of not what we can't do anymore, but what can you do, and had the opportunity, as I think we were very fortunate to be in Atlantic, Canada, and to be in Nova Scotia and be a registered business and all this stuff, to access funding, to be able to go online and get the technology and all that and learn something new and have time at home. But I did have time to work on this album, and I did have these opportunities to financially through Factor Canada and to do the album I really wanted to do, which was Storm, and to dream big again. And I'm still in the dream now. I'm seeing these things happen. And I think having the time and space is really important as a creator. I had that. I made time for it. And then, of course, once that puppy's out of the gate, I no longer had the time. I haven't written much since, it's just been marketing, touring, dreaming and scheming and trying to build this thing. Nice. I mean, how is kind of a question. I think time and space, right? You got to make the time and the space. As you know, you have to make time to write and work on the jokes, and then you have to go out and practice them. So we went out and toured the album just as a duo. We're only now starting to do it with a band. And bullshit to the folks who think that an album has to be released within 6 months and then that's the end of it. I'm dragging this one out until I'm done.
Absolutely. Well, and that's the great thing about doing what we do, not only in this region, but in this country, full stop, is that there is no well-worn path of how it should work. It's literally, we can all find our own path. And I find that's the most gratifying and fulfilling thing about doing performing arts of any discipline in this country is any way you can find to make it work is the correct way. Yeah. And in those other places, like you say, where someone says, or someone's got a manager or someone breathing down their neck saying you have to do this, and this, the album comes out then, and then you tour from here to here. It's like no. We will go and perform to the people that want to see us. When we do, we will release the thing when we want to release it. Yeah. And really, if as long as we're in front of people and people are enjoying what we do, then we're all winning.
Yeah, and like you said something earlier, if it's not there for you, if the opportunity is not there, you make it happen. And I have done that a lot for myself at a high cost. I continue to do it, and I've been through it enough now to I was so scared in the past, but now I'm like, you know what? It's going to be fine. Like, as long as everyone in my relationships, like my husband, is on board and supportive, we know the risks we're taking and we're willing to do it. It feels so good. It's still a little scary, but of course, you at least know that you're not going to come out of it with a divorce or going to jail. Like my father should have probably. So. And I do think of my deathbed a lot. I think of what am I going to regret if I'm on my deathbed? I'm going to regret not having tried, to do this thing this is the thing that I think you can relate to this as well. It's the ultimate joy is like connecting with people in these moments that are so precious, and you can't get those when you're sitting at home, and it's hard to get them, even although I feel like I'm connecting with you right now, but when you're performing for an audience online, it's quite different. It's not that It's not fun. We found ways to connect for sure.
Yeah.
But nothing beats, for me anyway, the in-person. Looking at people's eyes. You're running over and touching someone's hand on stage.
Totally.
And they're shouting back at you. And it's like, they're coming at the merch table and they're telling you stories, and they're quoting your songs or something. It's like,
there's nothing like it. This is definitely part one, because I just realized when you were talking about, when you were just talking about you and Dale on the road, I was thinking about the fact that there must be again, I was talking about the 0.01% of people that get to do what we do for a living, but there must be 0.1% who work with their partners basically 24/7. Now, granted, Pam isn't always coming on the road with me, but in terms of the magazine, we are working together all the time. So that is a story for part two. What is it like working with our loved ones so that we do everything together? Okay,
I know, it's true. Let's do part two. And I do. So I've been curious about AI because I don't ever want to use it for songwriting, but I thought I would try and give it throw it a bone, and so I asked AI to come up all the words to describe James Mullinger, and this is what it came up with. I think you'll be quite pleased. Okay, engaging, hilarious, insightful, versatile, authentic, energetic, clever, warm, resilient, relatable. Not a shit word about you. AI had nothing bad to say. And
God bless AI, because it's funny. Someone sent me a message yesterday saying they had bumped into someone that was filming a TV show in St. John, and they mentioned that they knew me, and this person said, I don't like him, he's a crackhead. That's why he acts the way he does. That's why he's all...
I would have loved for that to come up.
I know, and I thought to myself, wow, that's, and anyway, I just thought, and so people write these things thinking, because they're like, oh, you'll find this hilarious, but you hear this and think, why are there people talking shit about you behind your back? Which, of course, there always are going to be. But you know what? Even if the man on the street in St. John is going around slagging me off and making up lies about me, at least, for once, I'm actually pro-AI, because AI actually said something nice.
This is why I'm like, okay, but maybe there's some good in this, and there's a lot of it for you. So I want to thank you so much for being so generous with your time and today. And I'm excited to hear you. Dale and I are excited in Moncton at the Capitol Theater, October 25th. There's more tour dates. Everybody, please go check out JamesMullinger.com. What? You're excited about something. What?
Yes, I am. So A, I can't believe you guys are coming. I'm so honored and so excited. And B, I forgot. I meant to thank you. I did a show at the Thirsty Whippet pub in Dorchester a few weeks ago. Beautiful British pub set by a British lady, New Brunswick's first ever British pub. She is from England, lived in Kelowna, weirdly, which is where my brother lives and where I was last week. She opened the British pub, and loads of people came to the show, and a couple came, and they're from your town, and they drove all the way from Nova Scotia for this show, and they said that we came because Christina and Dale told us to come, and I've been meaning to thank you, because it was just the kindest thing, and they brought some friends, and they stayed the night, and then they came to another show, and I'm like, this is Atlantic
did I make
Canadian.
You like $80? Did I make you some money?
Literally, I mean, you filled my heart with joy, which is MasterCard priceless.
I love it.
And my final point on that was going to be, oh my God, why did I forget? You said capital. Anyway, that was it. Thank you, because that was so kind. And this has been so much fun.
James, you're kind, generous. Reading your book, Great Happens, it was a reminder for me that hard work and sometimes risk-taking and feeling the fears and doing it anyway, it's all part of making your dreams a reality. It's not all fun and games, but it's sure worth it. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Christina. You're amazing. You might have just pressed off record, but I will just add this in case we are still recording, which is that I've been trying to think of a name for my tour show next year, and the word versatile sounds like a great name for a tour. So we will never forget this moment.
Versatile. I can't wait for the big reveal.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, AI, and thank you, Christina, for giving me my tour name.
I don't want to say goodbye to you. Oh, I don't want to say goodbye to you.
Welcome to the Heartbeat Hotline. 1-902-669-4769. I'm the host of A Chat with Heart podcast, Christina Martin, and I'm so excited you called. Leave me your question, a suggestion for the podcast, or a comment about this episode. Please be aware your message may be used on the podcast and social media. Tell me your name, where you're calling from, and it's also fine if you want to remain anonymous. Thanks for listening. Have a great fucking day. Thanks for listening to A Chat with Heart podcast, produced by me, Christina Martin, co-produced and engineered by my husband, Dale Murray. Dale's a stellar singer-songwriter and music producer, so check out his website, dalemurray.ca. The podcast theme song, Talk About It, and I Don't Want to Say Goodbye to You were written by me and recorded by Dale. Visit my Bandcamp to find CDs, vinyl, digital music, and fun merch like custom-made puzzles and temporary tattoo packs. Become a monthly or yearly supporter of this podcast and my music endeavors on Patreon. If you're new to Patreon, it's a membership platform that helps creators get paid. I love it. Sign up as a free or paid member at patreon.com/Christina Martin. I would love it if you had time to share, rate, leave a review, and subscribe to A Chat with Heart on all the places you listen to podcasts. Wishing you, my little heartbeat listeners, a great day.